Morning, East Central Florida, and welcome to another edition of Catch a Memory Outdoors. We're Facebooking live. Hey, appreciate you guys and gals tuning in and Facebooking in with us this morning. If you're joining us, we really appreciate it. Just wanted to throw a quick note out there to the Facebook Nazis that we are FCC compliant. We have paid to be able to play snippets of copyrighted music, so please stop muting our streaming video on your service. It would be appreciated from us at Catch a Memory Outdoors. I'm Captain Jim Ross. This is Captain Mark Gibson. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, friend. What's going on with you?
I'm telling you what, man, I've had 2 cups of coffee and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Well, it was a long drive in, but I'm catching up now. I'm warming up a little bit.
Well, we want to let you know that this segment of the show is brought to you by Blue Points Marina out at Port Canaveral. And, once again, if you're looking for a great place, Blue Points is a great place to go check out. I think you guys and gals are going to be impressed with the service and the facilities that they have there. And we want to let you know, if you want to get involved with the show, we'd love to hear from you guys and gals. Give us a call, 321-632-1000. That's 321-632-1000. That is our Blakemore Real Magic Studios call-in line here in Cocoa, and we appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. And Mark, we're going to list all the different ways that you can get involved with Catch a Memory Outdoors. So with the new Facebook Live, because this is our 3rd show on Facebook Live, you can go to the streaming audio app, WWBC app, and you can download that app, and you can listen to us on your mobile device, your phone, your tablet. You can go to catchamemory.outdoors.com and listen to the streaming video or streaming audio there. And, of course, 99.9, 94.7, 100.7, and of those FM stations, and of course our main signal, our big signal, at 25,000 watts in the morning, and then sometimes we actually meet that time criteria where we ramp it up to 50,000 watts once the sun gets up a little bit, and you can get that on 1510 a.m.
You have no excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses. It's
Absolutely
out there.
None.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there.
Man, it's been rain, and more rain. Did you get out at all?
My June is booked solid, and I've already canceled like 3 charters already.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I got one this afternoon.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Keep my fingers crossed. It's the boy's birthday. He just wants a boat ride, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah. Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. I got Fish Bites Brett Buford coming in on next Friday, and see how that works out. He's going to bring his kids down, so we'll see how that works. So I don't know. I'm hoping to have a good June. I mean, people are spending money. They're booking.
They're trying. They're trying.
It's
Cristobal has been throwing water at us for rain at us for 3-4 days straight here.
Hopefully we'll get a good month in. We need one.
Yeah.
Fish are biting.
That's the thing. The fish are biting. Yeah. The other morning, I was talking with Captain Troy Perez, and he was like, the fish are absolutely jumping out of their skin to climb on anything that we throw out there with a hook in it, and run off the water. Not just rain, lightning storms. Just run off the water. He was just beside himself. He's like, I haven't seen a bite like this in like a really, really long time. And to have to leave that because the weather's just running you off, man, what a difficult.
It's horrible.
Yeah, he said the trout bite was incredible. The redfish were blowing up on the shoreline he was fishing there in the Indian River Lagoon. He said it was just as good as you could ever imagine it to be.
It looked like the tarpon were doing pretty good down there. Mike Mann was catching some. Yeah, had some nice tarpon jumping.
I actually talked with Mike yesterday, and he has had a chance to sneak out a couple of mornings this week. See, now the other morning it was raining here in the central part of Brevard County and down into Indian River County, Sebastian Inlet, Vero Beach, and even down into Fort Pierce. But from about the Space Center, from about Kennedy Space Center north, it wasn't raining. So the guys that had planned their trips in the Mosquito Lagoon and then up at Ponce Inlet that day, they got a morning in before the rest of this rain from the south kind of moved up that way. And Mike was telling me they had three tarpon the other morning in the backwaters, some mangrove snapper. There was something else he had. Black drum. Got some black drum. He was throwing some shrimp and getting some black drum around some of the docks and things. So there's a lot of fish to be caught right now. It's just a matter of getting the weather to be able to get out on it.
I'm hoping it clears up this week, but it looks like, at least till Wednesday, so we'll see how it is. I don't mind getting wet. It's just I don't want any of that lightning, crackling around me. So
that's not fun.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. I mean, we had a horrible, May. So, I mean, just with the whole COVID, and hopefully it's turning around.
We'll keep our
Let's
fingers
hope.
crossed. Mark, I was talking this past week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report TV show about some of the nearshore reefs and wrecks that around Ponce Inlet that Volusia County has put out, and how those wrecks and reefs are creating great habitat, great structure for a lot of different species. Why don't you tell us about some of the different species throughout the year that you can catch?
Well, I think Jim Nolan is part of the Artificial Reef Association up there, and we don't really have a natural reef until you have a little bit of broken bottom, 2 to 3, 4 miles offshore. Then you got a little spot at 9 Mile, but the biggest reef we got, natural is, East 11 Party Ground. So they come in and
and that's in that 70 to 90 foot.
Yeah, nothing right in there. So they brought in, if they tear up a new road or whatever, they bring in the culvert pipes and concrete. And I'm telling you what, it takes 3 or 4 days and you start seeing little bait fish, maybe greenies and stuff like that. And then you start seeing some, mangrove snapper move in. I mean, the stuff that they put on the beach, which is, I want to say it's right before a mile, because I think the shrimpers have from a mile to 3 miles.
Yes, yeah.
So, I mean, there's snook, trout, redfish, flounder. You pretty much name it. Weakfish, croakers.
I was going to say, you have had some fantastic weakfish trips over the early spring and even in the last winter and fall.
Michael Falk will tell you some of the biggest weakfish you've ever seen.
Yeah.
They come in, they started around April. And they start marking top to bottom, and I mean, when they start chewing, it's game on. That's why I like my fish bites, because you can catch 10 or 12 on one little piece of fish bite.
You don't have to keep changing a shrimp or a mud minnow or a pilchard.
Every weak fish is a shrimp. So, but I mean, it's the inshore bite is really on fire if you can get out there to it. That's why I'm on, and if you could, you get your little trolling motor, and you work your spots around, like Site 14, I think has 5 or 6 different spots around it. And that's the one off, I think, Flagler.
Okay.
Site 14 or 15 is right on the beach. But, I mean, anything you possibly think of. Kingfish hang out, a lot of sharks. The thing about diving, me and Jimmy Williams tried to dive at one time. Visibility is horrible. I mean, it just...
It's too turbid because it's too close to the
you
shore.
Look at it, we dropped my little GoPro down. I saw it looked like it was good viz, and then so we put our gear on, ran into the bottom before we seen the anchor.
Swam straight into the bottom.
And it was time to get out of there because shark bite capital of the world. Until you got a shark trip, But it's
exactly.
You can't catch a shark if you got a shark trip.
New Smyrna Beach is the shark bite capital of the world, but you can't catch them on a hook and line.
I did find out about the sharks, the sand tigers. I called Eric Sanders, which is a FWC guy.
Right.
And he said that, when we were catching them 7, 8, a trip or tagging, I tagged 7.
Back in January and February, you were getting a lot of them.
Or not killing them. I was tagging and releasing them.
Yeah.
He said then they move up north. They go up to North Carolina or whatever, and then they're coming down here to spawn.
Water temp. So it's all about water temp. It's like cobia, it's like dolphin.
I had to let
it's
my
like
friend Michael
else.
know that, sand tiger babies are, maybe we'll get them towards December. I mean, there's still some local ones that hang out around the wrecks, but not like they were at, in December and January. So,
right.
So hopefully maybe they'll catch some of those I tagged. So we'll see how it goes. But the inshore, the artificial reef stuff off Daytona is some of the great, some of the better fishing around, really, and diving especially.
Well, I don't really know on the East Coast of any other place where they have gone through and really thoroughly thought about the inshore habitat like they have out of Ponce, because you don't see that out of the St. Augustine area. There's natural bottom, but like there is, at Ponce Inlet, but you don't see any enhancements. You get up to Jacksonville and even up to Fernandina, you really don't see any enhancements to the sand bottom. The guys here at Canaveral, because we're in Cocoa, which is right next to Cape Canaveral, the guys here at Canaveral are starting to work on a plan. Chris Pashos with the Florida Sport Fishing Association, I believe in conjunction with the Central Florida Offshore Anglers, as they've done in the past, and then in conjunction with the group at the Brevard County, Matt Culver and that group at Brevard County Reefs, and they're working on trying to create something inside of 3 miles. But because we have a lot of sand. Canaveral has a lot of sand. When you get down to Sebastian, you got more rock again.
Yeah.
There's way more natural ledges and rocky bottom and things like that when you get down from about South Melbourne Beach and then south of there. There's a lot more habitat, natural habitat. And then of course, you get to Vero and Fort Pierce. Of course, they don't have to go as far. I mean, out of Fort Pierce, you've only got to go about 15 miles and you're in dolphin water. Well, maybe 12 miles and you're in dolphin water.
Instead of like 40 out here.
Yeah, instead of Canaveral, you're 20. To be on the safe side, you're 20 miles offshore, preferably 25 to get into good dolphin. And then, like you say, out of Ponce Inlet, out of the Daytona and New Smyrna area.
You need to run at least 30.
Yeah, you're looking at 30 to 40.
And that's a haul.
So when you start talking about being able to put things inside of 40 miles that people can then utilize, man, that's
then
great.
Once those fish get, once they start, we've caught dolphin at 9 Mile before.
Yeah.
Sailfish, dolphin, even when the water's dirty. They're following that bait. The bait's following structure. So I don't know why they do come out.
Well, see, and then the listeners in Miami and Fort Lauderdale are going, you're running 9 miles. You've run past the fish.
Oh, yeah, they off the beach.
Yeah, you've run past them. You need to come back 4 miles.
Yeah, if you don't go out to 9 Mile. But now they have been catching some big kingfish, and I was talking to Rodney about it around the buoys in here, lately. So
gotcha.
Hopefully his, I know he's got that tournament he's going to start next week or whatever he's doing. But
they've got an old school tournament or something going on where you can't go past 3 miles. You can't pin up your bait.
That's my kind of fishing.
Yeah, you have to catch your bait that day. You have to, and
that's my type of fishing.
That's pretty cool.
Go way out there.
Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our first break of the morning. We appreciate you tuning in, and welcome for those of you guys and gals that are on Facebook Live. We appreciate you being here with us this morning, and we're going to be right back. Captain Mark Gibson and myself, Captain Jim Ross, with more Catch a Memory. So don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. This segment of the show is brought to you by Memory Sticks Fishing Rods. Just was up in your neck of the woods up there in New Smyrna this week.
Always seem to miss me when I'm up that way.
In fact, I called you and told you I was on the way.
I know, I was over in the land.
Stopped in there at Cody Moore's New Smyrna Outfitters up in New Smyrna Beach, and had a fantastic talk with the guys there at that shop, and dropped off a bunch of new memory sticks for them so they can continue selling them. And we're just fortunate to have, retailers like Cody and New Smyrna Outfitters selling the memory sticks rods. You can also find them at Ace Hardware in Titusville. You can find them at Port Canaveral at Sunrise Marina. And they've got a really good selection out there. And then, of course, down in Melbourne, you've got Strike Zone, which we all love going to Strike Zone. And then down in Sebastian, for those of you guys and gals that are down in the southern part of our listening area, you can stop in at Reel 'em In Bait and Tackle and see Carol and the gang down there and get your memory sticks.
All right. I'll have to swing in there. Well, we got a little something going on up in Daytona. They got one of the local bait and tackle stores called your Rod and Reel store. Has got what's going on called Meet the Captains. So starting today, I think it's from 11 to 1 p.m., and every Saturday following, he's going to have a local captain sitting up there with his boat or, a little booth or something, and he's going to have barbecue. So you go get up there, have a little free barbecue, giveaways. So, I wanted to throw that out there, and I'm actually going to do the...
And where's that going to be at?
It's called Your Rod and Reel Store. It's
Your Rod and Reel Store.
Yeah, it's up in South Daytona. Steve Hughes is the owner, and it's got a pretty nice little gig going on up there. Always got some nice, tackles. Always got some good live bait. So if you're up that way, swing in, and then I'll be up there on the 4th of July. So I'm going to be giving away a little Fish Bites product, and come up there and you get to meet me for 2 hours.
Yeah. And what day is that?
4th of July.
4th of July.
Yeah, man. I'm not going to be on the water anyway that day.
No,
I get that crazy.
Far away from the water as I can be.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm kind of disappointed about? This is kind of a segue for that whole 4th of July time frame. Daytona when you think of 4th of July and you think of Daytona, there's two things you think of. One is obviously going to the beach, big beach day, big boating day, big fishing day as well for a lot of people. So maybe there's three things you think about. But you think about the Daytona 400, the Firecracker 400 that turned into the Coke Zero 400 that turned into the, whatever. But that race, they've moved that race, and it's not going to be in
I think
July
it's in
anymore.
August.
Yeah, like the last of August.
Last race of the chase or something. And then who really knows how they're going to, they're racing now with no fans in the stands.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if they're going to come this way. That's a whole nother.
The lack of fresh sports programming.
I know.
I never thought that I watched that much TV. Now I know I watched way too much TV.
Yeah.
Because there would be a soccer game, there would be a football game, there would be a baseball, whatever it happened to be. Races. There was always something fresh going on. There was always something brand new to watch. And like I put it on some of the channels now. I'm a big BN sports fan, right? So they've got all the Italian league soccer and some of the other leagues, and they're playing, replaying and replaying and replaying the 2004, Spanish Cup, and it just. You're like, golly, I didn't realize how much I missed fresh programming till this whole COVID thing hit, and we can't go and do the things that we are accustomed to doing. So what do you do instead? Well, we go fishing. Yeah.
It hadn't stopped. Yeah.
So we're out there doing that.
Yeah, it showed me that I can miss a lot of those, sporting events that I thought I needed to sit home and watch.
Yeah.
It's not really essential to me. I can we won't even get into that, but you know what I'm saying.
You can work your way around it.
I can work my way around it.
Yeah.
As long as we're fishing, we're in, if the weather will let us.
So it's June. Typically, the kingfish are coming to the beach in June. And you had just mentioned a little while ago, some of those nearshore reefs out of the Ponce Inlet area do hold a lot of kingfish, especially if there's bait on them. Now, here's the problem with Canaveral through Sebastian right now. There's not much bait. The pogey pods that should be here, the pilchard pods that should be here, greeny pods. We're not seeing a whole lot of bait right now. And are you guys seeing bait at Daytona at Ponce Inlet?
About 2 weeks ago, I was seeing these 4-hour trips. I was seeing some guys on Facebook loading up on 4-hour trips on kingfish. Mm-hmm. So those bait 4-hour trips getting you to, Port Orange Bridge, Rubble, Site 5, 9 Mile. Maybe going out to Site 12, so I know there had to be bait there. I haven't been out in the last week or so. But That being said, this last week, all I saw was bonita, barracudas on a lot of these guys' fishing trips. Now, yesterday I did see on an 8-hour trip, had some nice little peanut dolphin, nothing real big. But bait-wise, it's scattered. It seems like if you can find the bait pod, Spanish mackerel were all over the tips of the jetties. Now they're there. But they're, you just got to find them. It's not like they're
not thick.
They're not thick. So if you find the pod, you're going to find them. Now I know they were down around Play Linda.
Well, that's the way that my tarpon fishing has been this past week on the days that I've been able to get out. Generally late May, early June, we have this gigantic influx of tarpon that come in, and we get an opportunity from right about the second week of May, right on through June, July. And then late July through early August, or early to mid-August, they kind of disappear. What they do is they go north. They get up off of Jacksonville. They get up off of Sapelo. They get up off of that whole South Georgia coast. They get up off of that area, and so they're just not here. They're there because that's the start of There's a huge congregation of Menhaden, and that's the start of the mullet run. So they're up there to feed, but the fish that we have had come through are screaming through. They're not just lollygagging around and kind of easily moving along. They are racing north as hard as they can go. Now, there's two things that fish that are doing that are that's kind of neat. One is that they're eating everything you throw in front of them. When they see something, there's no hesitation. They attack it. But they're moving so fast, and a lot of times we get up in front of the schools and then put baits out. They're moving so fast, it's hard to come tight on them and actually get a good hookup. So we're having some issues, and we're jumping quite a few fish, but we're not hooking and landing the fish. So, hey, let's go to the phone lines. We got a caller on the line this morning. We got Captain Mike Mann calling in. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning, Mike.
If I sound a little distant, I'm sorry. I'm holding the phone, trying to unhook fish, and
I'll bet the bite's going on this morning because the pressure's low and the moon's just right now.
you know, we've hit our second spot. First spot, we got one bite. That was it.
Uh-huh.
We're on our second spot, and we put two fish to the boat. Nice 17, 18-inch trout in like 2 minutes. I told the guys to wait till I was on the air.
Yeah. Don't catch fish until I get on the air, right?
Exactly. I heard you talk. You must be talking about those tarpon.
Yes, the tarpon have been just screaming through. Mike, actually, we had mentioned you in the first segment of the show, though. You and I had talked earlier in the week, and you said that you had some tarpon going on, you had some trout going on, you had some drum going on, just a good variety of fish in the backwaters from Oak Hill to up to the inlet at Ponce.
Yeah, it's been a nice mixture, and I've been fishing high and low. Just kind of depends on what we're targeting. Right now, you know, we're about midway in the lagoon. And, you know, fishing a bait pod out, not away from all shore. So kind of give guys, we're just out in the middle on a big bait pod, and got two really nice trout. The tarpon have been more up in the creeks. Haven't quite seen them down in the ICW yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the South ICW between, say, Marker 16 and Oak Hill and, Hallover.
Yeah.
I've had reports they are down around Hallover very good. I just haven't been down there to see them. I haven't had to make that run.
Gotcha.
You know, we had a lot of tarpon around us yesterday. They were a little finicky to eat yesterday. But we could see them.
Yeah. Mike, how does the water clarity? We've had just 10, 12, 27, I don't know at this point where we're at, inches of rain here in the last week. But how is your water clarity looking?
It is beautiful right now. I'm looking down. I'm in probably 2 foot of water. I can see the bottom. I mean, it's still pretty beautiful.
Okay.
So it's we've been keeping clean water. You can still do sight fishing if we ever get sunny days again.
No, that's not going to happen for another week.
I know. Toughest thing today is there's no wind at all. It is just slick calm, which I really wasn't expecting with, you know, all the weather we've got coming at us. You know, we're trying to get out here and get a 3-hour trip in before this rain gets to us, and
right.
I think we're going to get a little wet on the ride home, but you guys will at least have some fish to the boat.
Yeah.
Well, two of them. One of the brothers is doing really good. Dad's doing good. The other brother, he's letting me down a little bit.
He needs a tune-up, huh?
Well, you know, he's like 6 foot tall, 250-pound, stocky linebacker-looking guy. So I'm how much? 290. He's 290. So I'm
big
standing on
boy.
the back of the boat giving him a hard time.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too close. Don't get within arm's reach. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, one last thing. How is the grass in the lagoon? Have you seen any regrowth with this good water quality that we've had this spring?
I haven't seen it a lot, but I haven't also been out really working the flats. Yeah, I've either been tarpon fishing in the channels. I haven't had anybody that wanted to go poling, and we really haven't had good sight casting conditions. So I to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you where I'm at right now. It's an area that should have a lot of grass, and I see nothing but sand.
Gotcha.
I do see a sprig of grass floating, and there are 2 manatees up here, so there must be something vegetable-like in here.
Yeah, something for them to eat on. Okay.
But yeah, you know, we just haven't had any sunny days where I could get up and had anybody that wanted to do any polling, and I haven't had a day off when it's been nice where I could come out and do a little sight casting.
Right.
But, you know, it's, I've heard reports here and there. There's some coming back. I just haven't been able to see anybody. Stop reeling that in.
Yeah, I didn't know if you'd been up on top of Tiger or back in Van Slough or around Preacher's Island or, you know, Pardon
I'm on top
Slough.
of Tiger right now.
Okay.
And, you know, I'll give that spot away because it's a big bar.
Yep.
But, yeah, I don't see any grass right here where I'm at.
Gotcha.
There's a little bit of the calorpa here and there, but, it's pretty barren.
Gotcha. All right, buddy. Well, we're pushed up against a break here, so if somebody wants to get a hold of you and come out and do some fishing with you, how can they get hold of Captain Mike Mann and go fish Mosquito Lagoon?
I've got days open next week. You can give me a call at area code 386-295-5991. You can go right to my website, fatfishguide.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Fatfish Guide Service, or on Instagram, Captain Mike Mann.
Awesome, buddy. Hey, congratulations on a good start to your morning. Hopefully those trout will continue biting for you. You guys stay safe out there today.
Thanks, guys. Catch a memory.
See you, Mikey.
Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, Captain Mark Gibson and myself, Captain Jim Ross, are going to be right back with more Catch a Memory, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate y'all tuning in every Saturday morning right here to WWBC 1510 AM. And, of course, to our new Facebook Live viewers. Appreciate you guys and gals joining in this morning. We tried to touch base with a couple of you during the last break and reach out and just say good morning to everybody out there. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. You know what? This segment of the show is brought to you by Strike Zone, and we were talking about Strike Zone earlier. If you're looking for a great place to go buy your gear, there's probably none better in the Central East part of the state. I'm telling you, they do a fantastic job. They've got all the great stuff. They've got the knowledge and the staff to be able to get you into the right product. Even if you don't know what you're doing, those guys down there, they fish. They do it. They live it. And so when you go to Strike Zone, it's a complete experience. You're getting knowledge. You're getting the right colors for the right types of lures, the right rigs, the right setups, and all at a pretty daggone price. So stop in at Strike Zone and tell them you heard about it right here on Catch a Memory Outdoors. Captain Mark Gibson and myself, Jim Ross, in the studio with you this morning. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to do the daily fishing conditions real quick, Mark. Captain Mike Mann was just saying he's up in the Mosquito Lagoon, and he's got no wind. It's slick calm up there. But down to the south, I was talking with a buddy of mine this morning that was down in the Melbourne area, and they had a little bit of rain coming through right then, and he said they had a little bit of a wind chop. But when you look at the overall conditions for the day, if you're looking for a day that you would think that this would be a great top water plug day, today's that kind of day. Overcast, barometer's low, wind's low. A little bit of wind is good. No wind is not good.
Yeah.
But if you're going to not have any wind, then overcast is better than sun.
They're ready to eat.
They are.
They want to eat.
So today we've got southeast winds at 5 to 10, becoming southeast at 10 to 15 by about midday. It's going to pick up just a little bit through the middle of the day. Seas right now, or their seas are supposed to be 2 to 3 feet with a dominant period of about 7 seconds. The 4-mile buoy, 79-degree water temperature, 2 feet at 4 seconds. It's a little tight.
A little tight for the small jet ski boat.
20-mile buoy is 79 degrees also, and 3 feet at 4 seconds.
That's a little bouncy.
That's even
a little
tighter.
Slap you, make your teeth chatter.
And then the 6-mile buoy out of Fort Pierce right now is 79 degrees, and seas are 3 feet at 3 seconds. That's just not fun.
That's not fun.
So you can see in some areas we have rain, we have some little squalls, little storms coming through. In other places we don't have that condition. We have rain, we have wind, we have those things. And so it's one of those things that you just kind of have to keep an eye on the weather, because you can see throughout the region, throughout our broadcast area, that some places are calm and some places have got a little wind on top of them. Right now, Port Canaveral's surf temperature is about 80 degrees, and that's inside the port. Now, when you look at the rest of them, Ponce Inlet, 75. 5-degree temperature change. Sebastian, 78 degrees, and then Fort Pierce, 79 degrees. So there's a pretty good variety, a pretty good deviation in the temperature range right now throughout the entire listening area. Western edge of the Gulf Stream is approximately 32 miles outside of Port Canaveral and 23 outside of Sebastian. And the rest of the tides look like this. Port Canaveral, 8:47 a.m. is your high, so about an hour, a little over an hour from now. Low is at 2:41 p.m. Sebastian Inlet, 8:52 a.m. is your high, and 3:08 p.m. is your low. And then down at Fort Pierce, 9:09 a.m. is your high, and 3:14 is your low. And we got Captain Matt Lee calling in this morning. What's going on, Captain Matt Lee?
Feeding the no-see-ums out here. Waiting on clients.
Just keeping the no-see-ums fat and happy, huh?
Oh, yes, sir, man. You gotta make sure they're all taken care of so your clients don't get carried away.
Yeah, I tell you. You need some anytime.
Some anytime, huh? Well,
Anytime, no bite is
That
what
stuff
you
works.
need. Yep. You know what? I'm sure I've got an extra tube around the house. I'll bring you one sometime.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Sounds good.
They're a great sponsor of ours, and it's a great product.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying it. I'm booting up the GPS or the Marantz right now to see what the temperature is down here in Mosquito Lagoon, but because you were going over the temperatures. Well, right now we got high outgoing tide as of this moment right now down here. But the bite's good, man. I've been down there for you.
The bite's been interesting. On the days that we've been out, we've not had a lack of bites in most cases. What we've had, though, is I was explaining a little earlier when I was talking with Captain Mark Gibson here in studio. You know, we've got tarpon pushing through, and a lot of my customers right now want to go chase tarpon. But the tarpon are moving so fast that when you set up in front of the school, a lot of the times we're having a hard time coming tight on the fish because they're overrunning. They're hitting the baits and overrunning the slack, putting slack in the line. And it's very difficult when they're moving as fast as they are right now. They're on their way north to come tight on them properly and get a good hook set. So we're having to try and set up off to the side of them and then pitch like at a 90-degree angle in front of the pods that we see cruising. And that seems to be a better hookup ratio right now.
Right on. Well, as you know, this time of year is my favorite time of the year. And like I said, the bite has been really good down here for trout and reds both. And the snook bite has been really good, too, even though we can't keep them now. But the snook bite's been really good. And from what I hear, a couple of guys, they've been doing fairly well on tarpon most days. But, that they're feeding, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Mann, he's been targeting quite a bit. He's been doing fairly well as far as I know. He's been posting some pictures and stuff like that of the tarpon he's been catching, down here in the lagoon system. So, but yeah, it's croaker pigfish time and top water and just about anything you want to throw. It looks like a mullet or a croaker or a pigfish, and they're chewing them up like crazy. Yeah.
I was going to say, last year we had a really hard time in the middle of the summer getting bait, getting pigfish. And if you fish Mosquito Lagoon, that's the bait. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you don't have pigfish, you're really kind of spinning your wheels, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I've been talking to a few people at the boat ramps here and there, that have been throwing artificials, and they've been doing fairly well. I mean, believe it or not. I know you run some artificials here, too, especially with the big truck do together. When you can't get stuff like that, and I can't get stuff, if you can't get it, don't.
Are you still there? Or did we lose him? No. Can you still hear us, Matt?
If it's just because you don't have the croakers and pigfish, and that kind of thing, because they are hitting mullet, they are eating mullet, they're shrimp and everything else too. So, well, our temperature as I'm sitting here is 78.4.
Yeah, that water temperature is going to be dropping. I had mid 80s, but with all this rain, it's really dropped it back down quite a bit. Hey, Matt, we've got a lot of fresh water coming in, and Captain Mike Mann, actually, I called him earlier, and wherever he was, he still had clean water conditions. Are you seeing the same kind of conditions where you're fishing in your part of the Mosquito Lagoon?
It's spotty. I do know some areas that are still clean. You definitely get a tidal flow. You're definitely getting it in the cleaner water. But it's just kind of spotty, and it's just kind of weird that you can go crystal clear water 1 minute, and then you can be in dirty water the next, So I am seeing spots that are clear, but I also am seeing spots that are dirty, depending on the manatee situation and how many manatees are in there and all that. You got to take that into consideration, too.
Yeah, that is a big thing right there. You're right about that. They're going to start dirtying the water up, especially as we get more grass growth, because they get in there and root around and start stirring things up. But at least we don't have any huge issues. Water quality this year has been better than it's been in just for a really, really long time. So it's good to be able to.
A lot better.
Well, what's nice is returning customers that come back year after year. We had a period where we had brown algae and it was bad. and you couldn't see 3 inches into the water. It looked like you were fishing in a yoo-hoo. And, you know, I mean, it really did. And yoo-hoo's great to drink, but it's terrible to fish in. You know what I mean? And so last year we got a little bit of a reprieve from that, and this year we've gotten a lot more of a reprieve from that. The water clarity's been great. Bait's coming back. You know, fish are coming back. And so my customers that are repeat customers are coming back. They're saying, hey, you know what? The conditions are changing. The conditions are getting better, and they're enjoying getting out on the lagoon again. They don't feel like they're, you know, floating in a cesspool anymore like they were 3 and 4 and 5 years ago. And that just goes to show that the amount of cleanup that Brevard County and the state in particular has been doing. And then each of us individuals, by not fertilizing as heavily or at all, just by watching what we're doing and not dumping things in the water that shouldn't be in the water, we're all making a huge difference. And you can see that there's a recovery happening in the Indian Banana and Mosquito Lagoon complex because of that.
Oh yeah. Well, another thing that happened about a month ago is I got reports from a few of my clients that were doing it at night, but the shrimp run was really good, which kind of blew my mind because I'm thinking, where are they coming from?
Exactly.
They were catching good ones. I'm talking hand size and bigger.
Big white shrimp, like Titusville size shrimp.
No, well, they were the Oak Hill Reds.
Oh, they were Oak Hill Reds that big, huh? Wow. Yeah.
And they did very well.
Yeah, some of the pictures I've seen, especially around Haulover and the Titusville Bridge, were the big whites and browns. We don't typically get the reds over on that side very much. They tend to stay on the Mosquito Lagoon side. Hey, Matt.
Well, they had whites and browns too, but they did have quite a few reds. But
yeah.
Anyway, I know we got to get going. So
yeah, we're pushed up against a break. But if somebody wants to get a hold of you, do you have any days available where you can get people out?
I've got a few openings, here and there. They just have to call, give me a couple dates, but give me a ring, 386-214-3530, or check out the website, Instagram, Facebook, CodeRedFishingCharters.net.
Awesome, buddy. And I'll get you some of that anytime. The next time I'm coming up that way, we'll hook up, and that way you won't have to be no see 'em food anymore.
Could you do it tomorrow? Because I got chicken pox now.
You got the chicken pox now. All right, buddy.
No see 'em.
You take care. Bye bye now.
See ya.
Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch a Memory with Captain Mark Gibson and myself, Jim Ross. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by the Rapala Brands. And guess what? We've got Captain Justin Ross on the line. He's on the water this morning with his charter with your Captain Justin's Rapala Brand pick of the week. So good morning, Justin.
Good morning. How's it going, y'all?
Doing fantastic, buddy. Doing fantastic. Sounds like you got a little wind out there. How's your bite this morning?
Yeah, we are. We got some wind, but we are wearing out the little sand trout, and actually even some of the little spot trout this morning. We got one that was over. He was probably about 14, almost 15 inches, and then these sand trout, we have just been basically cane pulling them. In fact, Rennie, about a couple minutes ago, was like, "I'm gonna see if I can catch one right here," and she got hooked up, but it came off.
She's calling her shot. I'm going to make a cast right here. Watch this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she literally just opened her bail and dropped it right next to the boat, and we got hooked up. So.
You got to love it when the bite's that good.
Yeah. So we're having a good time out here.
What are you guys throwing this morning?
We're actually throwing some paddle tails right now. But we were throwing topwater a little earlier, and they didn't seem very interested in topwater this morning, which was really funny. And here we go. Rennie's got one to the boat. Got to get it unhooked real quick, and they're getting bigger. There we go.
I heard the splash. That sounded like a big splash.
So we were throwing some top waters this morning, but they didn't really seem interested in that, which is very weird because it's overcast and we got a little bit of wind chop, and you would think that top water would be the way to go this morning, but it didn't seem to work all that well.
They just weren't having it, huh?
Yeah, they just weren't cooperating. Like I said, we got one nicer fish on it, and then a couple swirls here and there, but didn't really get what I was really expecting.
Gotcha.
But anyway, today I wanted to talk about the the long cast shallow.
Yep.
We've talked about the long cast before during this segment, but this bait doesn't float quite as deep, or doesn't sink quite as deep as the normal long cast does. It floats nice and high in the water column.
Yeah, it's
so
kind of it's kind of the same. It's the same lure, just one has a lip and one doesn't have a lip.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice and weighted like the long cast is. So you can it's called the long cast for a reason. You can make nice long casts with it. But it's really good. You can use it out here in the flats for big trout and snook and redfish and stuff like that. Because it doesn't get down into the weeds like the normal long cast does. And then, so you can be in super shallow water but still make nice long casts if you don't necessarily have that sight cast type of fishing going on. If you're just blind casting and fan casting, you can just cover a ton of water with it.
Yeah, and it's a big enough bait that if you catch something on it, it's probably a pretty good sized fish.
Yeah, you can get some really nice fish on it. I guess Keith's pulling one up for us now. And Rennie's got one, so I got to run back to this side.
You got a double going on there. Well,
yep.
So the last time that Keith and Rennie booked with us, it was Keith's birthday.
Uh-huh.
And then this time, Rennie called yesterday and said, "Hey, I know this is kind of, I'm hoping and praying you got something last minute kind of thing, but it's my birthday tomorrow, and I really want to get out on the water. And I know it's been cloudy and rainy, but we want to give it a try. So
that's awesome.
Tell Rennie happy birthday from us here at Catch the Memory Outdoors."
Will do. Everyone at the show says happy birthday. She says thank you. She pulled up another fish.
She's pulling another.
It's a great birthday. It's a great birthday.
Well, buddy, we appreciate the call in this morning. Sounds like you have got your hands full with that trout bite going on, and thanks for letting us know about the long cast shallow. I'll post that up after the radio show's over with, so that everybody can kind of see what that bait looks like. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of Captain Justin Ross to do some fishing?
Well, they can either go to finelinefishingcharters.com and book there, or if you want to call me personally, it's 321-505-8217.
All right, buddy. Great job out there this morning. Keep up the good work and stay safe.
Thanks. Y'all have a good one.
All right, see you, JJ.
Bye now.
Bye.
He does sound like he's in some wind there, but
and it sounds like he's all over the boat. The fish are biting.
He's got a bite going on wherever he's at. I'm going to find that spot out.
Yeah. We'll just track his phone. You got that, like
the phone track. There you go.
Absolutely. Life 360. Click. Gotcha.
Can you do that with an iPhone 5?
It's.
I mean, I know it's old school, but I like my iPhone 5.
May freeze your phone up.
It might freeze up.
If you drop it or break it, you can pick them up for $30, $40 on eBay.
Well, that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
And they fit in your pocket. They're not the size of like a 36-inch television
and if it
anymore.
Disappears, it's easy enough to get.
It's easy enough to get another one. Mark, we were. I like throwing artificials, and the long cast shallow that Justin was talking about as his captain's pick of the week. The tarpon earlier in March when the cobia showed up, and then mid-March the spinner sharks and the tarpon showed up. We had that early run of fish. Wow, they were crushing that long cast shallow. That thing was on fire because there was a lot of needlefish. Fairly large-sized needlefish at the time that were in the nearshore waters, and it was one of the few bait fish that were in there. So it kind of skinny like that. There was not really any mullet, but kind of skinny like a long cast shallow, and you can make that thing skitter, just jumping it across the top and just skittering along like it's a ballyhoo or something, or a needlefish trying to get away. Tarpon were eating them.
Now, what type? What's the depth of water that you're in when you're?
Oh, I was in like 25 to 30 feet.
Okay.
Where the tarpon were, and the sharks too. We caught quite a few sharks on them. But the long cast shallow, it comes in a 12 centimeter and a 14 centimeter size. So little smaller profile, a little bigger profile, and I like throwing the bigger profile when it's a little choppy. I like throwing the smaller profile when it's kind of slick.
Yeah.
And man, great bait, great bait. So it's one of my favorites. I
like pulling them for my kingfish.
Well, the other thing is like if you're fishing cobia on rays, you don't have to worry about the bait sinking down real fast like a jig does and hooking the ray. which then spooks the ray, which then makes the ray go down where you can't see the ray.
Once you hook the ray, it's over.
So you've lost your jig, and the cobia went with the ray.
Yeah.
So you can pull these over the back. You can cast them in front of, beside. You can pull them over the back of the ray, and you can get the cobia to turn and chase that thing, and then it's game on.
It's game on. Absolutely.
And you didn't hook the ray.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've got a whole week's worth of trips coming up. It sounds like. What is it? What is it that people are wanting to catch right now?
Well, most people are wanting to try to catch mangrove snappers. I got a trip coming up on Tuesday. He wants to target some mangrove snappers. I've got a couple spots out towards the cracker that for whatever reason it's a different type of culvert. You have some of the big round culvert pipes. You have some of the poles. I'm not going to tell you which one hold the bait better, but one of the spots out there holds them a little better.
The super secret spot that's clearly marked on the map.
That's my plan. We're going to go try. And catching some of them mangrove snappers sometimes are a little tricky for the average, angler that comes out there that really doesn't.
Well, you know why? Most of us, when we go out, quote unquote, bottom fishing, we've got 60 or 80 pound main line, and we've got 80 or 100 pound leader, and we've got a big hook and a big weight. And you're right. Mangrove snapper don't play that game.
They don't play it. And you can't just drop your bait to the bottom. I took out 4 people 2 weeks ago, and they dropped their bait to the bottom, put your poles in the pole holders, and had them a couple twisted iced teas, and, the fish aren't biting. No, you don't have any bait on.
Yeah, they've already picked
with those
it off.
mangroves, you really gotta feel that bite.
What we like to do is we like to get them chummed up.
Yeah.
And cut bait, putting chunks of bait in the water, letting them just kind of flow back in the current, and then taking one and hiding it. And we typically don't go any higher than 30-pound fluorocarbon leader and a little number 2/0 or 3/0.
That's all you need.
That's it.
And then that's when you get that big one, and you're like, "Ooh, I wish I'd had."
Well, that's 40. How you get that big one. I mean, their eyesight is so good. Yeah. Or that's how you sometimes get that big one, but that's because you can only put so much pressure on that size hook.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of times you will kind of straighten a hook, but the circle hooks don't seem to straighten quite as easily as some of the J hooks do. So, but man, you can get some 4, 5, 6, 8 pound mangroves. Sometimes you'll get lucky and get one 10 or 12 pounds. Yeah.
That's the plan. I got a couple trips inshore. I got a couple trips offshore. Snook bite's been really good back up in Rose Bay. If you can get back up in there in the train trussels, and the bull sharks are all back up in that shallow water.
We need to talk about that after we get back done with this next break.
You're breaking up. Hello.
Can't hear you.
Keith Sterner with Sea Dogs. His kids fish back up in there, and he's been sending me a bunch of pictures. And he's been catching really nice fish back up in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Keith, if you're listening, I apologize. Tell your sons I'm sorry. but serious. And the bull sharks are back up in there. Whether they're, I don't
It's
know.
that fresh water coming out.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
They're in Sebastian. They're in Crane Creek. They're in Turkey Creek. They're in,
Yeah, he hooked into a 5-footer the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
we're going to take our top of the hour break. Catch Your Memory's going to be right back. So don't go away. We've got a whole nother hour with Captain Mark Gibson and myself, Captain Jim Ross, after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is once again brought to you by Blue Points Marina. If you guys and gals missed the first hour, we've had a great show. Callers from two callers from Mosquito Lagoon, and then I don't know where Justin was, if he was in the Indian or the Banana today, but sounds like the inshore bites. Yeah, we're going to track him. Yeah, we're find out because that was a red hot bite he was on wherever he was at. But Mark, you were saying that you pull some of the Rapala plugs, when you're just trolling for king mackerel, and that's one of the great things about fishing for some of the species we fish for. You don't have to have bait. You can still catch fish.
Yeah. What I like about it is on charters especially, if you're using a planer, from the planer to the spoon or the bait, usually 80 feet or so. So once the mate or the cap, whoever gets it to the planer, you got to hand line it in.
Yeah.
With the Rapala, that you can let the client fight the fish in the whole way,
all the way to the boat.
And then that way it's not because on a small boat like mine, it's hard to pull 2 planers. You can, but you're only looking at, I think my beam's 8-6 or something.
Right.
So I can pull one of those and it'd be 10 or 15 feet or something like that below, and then the planer be 60 feet, 50 feet, something like that, and definitely keep them above each other. And and so I love pulling one of those, and they seem to, when them kingfish are on fire, they'll definitely tear that grapple up.
Definitely. Hey, we want to let you know that this segment of the show, once again, is brought to you by Blue Points, like we were saying. And if you want to get involved with the show, 321-632-1000. That's our Blakemore Real Magic Studios call-in hotline. You can give us a call right here at our Blakemore Real Magic Studios at WWBC in Cocoa. And we appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. This coming week, we've still got a lot of rain. And so I'm hesitant as to whether or not I'm going to be able to get everything run that I want to get run. I'm hoping after Cristobal goes by and kind of gets up into the mid part of the nation, it stops throwing all this water over this way, and we can have a return to a more typical summertime bite where we've got afternoon thunder showers, not morning thunder showers, mid-morning thunder showers, midday thunder showers, mid-afternoon thunder showers, late afternoon thunder showers, early evening thunder showers. I'm kind of.
It's hard to plan it.
I know. I'm over 6-7 days of straight rain now. I'm just over it.
Yeah, it's hard to plan anything when you got that little hour, the window of opportunity. Well, it's you hate
and you don't sleep good
trip.
at night. When you have to go to bed at night and you call your customer and you call them at 2 or 3 in the afternoon and you go, hey, I'm going to wait for the 5 o'clock update. And then you look at the 5 o'clock update and you're like, it's just not looking that great. Let's look at the 8 o'clock update, So then you look at the 8 o'clock update and you go, well, it may be fishable. It may not be fishable. One report saying it is, one report saying it's not. The other report saying, something completely different. And then you don't sleep.
Don't sleep anyway.
I'll call you at 5 in the morning and we'll try and call an audible then and see if we can get out. You don't sleep good.
No,
I've been doing that for a week now.
No, you don't sleep at all.
No.
And then you get, like the other day I canceled a trip. The guy canceled. He says, I think it's going to be too windy and rainy. And I'm like, well, according to the buoy, according to the weather report and wind finder, it's going to be a crappy day. Flat calm.
Yeah.
For 4 or 5 hours, I only needed 4.
Yeah.
Would have been, nice little chunk of change in the pocket.
It's definitely difficult. If we had a crystal ball and a magic wand, I need 2 things: a crystal ball so I can see what's going on with the weather, and a magic wand so I can just wave it around and make the fish bite when they don't want to bite.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's part of it. People don't understand. You get out there and they go like, "Oh, it's beautiful weather," and then you get out there and the fish aren't biting.
Yeah.
It's a crazy operation we got ourselves in.
Well, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Donald calling in from Lutz this morning. Good morning, Donald.
That is exactly why I will never be a charter captain.
You don't have a crystal ball or a magic wand.
Why didn't you tell me that ahead of time? I would have.
The only thing I pray is that I have a magic bait.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Buddy.
It is storming here.
Is it? Yeah, I didn't look at the radar since about 6:45 this morning, but it sounded like we've got some more stuff coming up the central east part of Florida's coast right now, and it's just one of those things, as long as there's no lightning in it, it's not that bad, but really, it's not that fun either.
It's not fun at all.
It's just not fun to get out and get rained on and wet, and it just isn't.
Yep. And we are holding lightning rods, those graphite rods. Lightning rods.
I have a friend who it's about 21 years ago. He was bass fishing on Lake Toho over in Kissimmee, and saw the storm coming. Bites, that they fish feel that barometer drop. They're on fire, right? It's every cast. He's catching one, and he's like, I just one more cast, just one more cast. Pow! Lightning got him. Now he survived. He's and he was in a wheelchair for quite some time. But if you've never seen what happens to a graphite rod that gets, or anything for that matter, that gets struck by lightning, to this day, he still has little shards of graphite that occasionally start working their way out of him, and it makes a little sore and festers up. But he was absolutely, looked like somebody just shotgunned him. I mean, from top head to toe, he had pieces of graphite that went right through his shirt, right through his, his pants. He was wearing a little technical, pants. Graphite shards that just shot straight through him because the rod just exploded. I mean, if you've seen the Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry type cartoons, right, where somebody's smoking a cigar and somebody puts a little explosive in it and blows it up and covers their whole face, and the whole end of the cigar's spread out like, just umbrellaed out. That's what happened to that fishing rod. And he's still wearing pieces of the graphite from that rod to this day. He's lucky to be alive.
Lucky to be alive.
But it knocked him it knocked him unconscious. He's laying on the deck. He woke up in the middle of a pouring rainstorm, and
I hate that.
I don't need that. None of my customers
I don't
need
like that lightning.
So, you can call me a chicken. Guess what? I'll put some feathers on my head if I have to. I'm getting away from that daggum lightning.
You'll get a lot of people that'll say, don't worry about the weather.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not scared of the weather.
I came real close to having two times having lightning strikes, and I won't do it anymore. Yeah. One, I was filming a show with Wayne Pearson, and if those of you guys that are a little older know Wayne Pearson, he's a big outdoorsman, fishing and hunting shows, and he really wanted to go. We had a storm come through, and we were sitting under a pavilion at Kelly Park in the Banana River, and he's like, it's gone now. And I'm like, man, it's not far enough away from me. And, well, come on, let's go. We're burning daylight. We're wasting time. We could be catching fish. We could be filming, So against my better judgment, we jumped back in the boat and ran down the river. And, we weren't in the rain anymore. It had passed. But, there's always that charge that, is that positive charge that comes back out of a storm, like way out of a storm. It's not the negative charges that are underneath the clouds. It's the ones that arc out, and then that bolt out of the blue, people standing on the beach and just all out of the blue get struck by lightning. That was this bolt, and it hit so close. You could feel it, and it felt like a sizzling sensation. How it didn't hit us, I have no idea. I really don't, because we're sitting there in the middle of the Banana River with graphite rods stuck up all around our heads and the rod holders, and holding them in our hands. And I was like, that's awesome. I didn't have to say we're out of here. Wayne was in the floor.
He was already gone.
He was in the floor going, let's go. So it's not something to play with, that's for sure.
Yeah. A friend of mine who's a kayak. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, have you had a chance to get out this week, Donald?
No. It's been a couple of weeks. I've been out, but I was supposed to be out today fishing, but we're not. I was fishing the Upper Manatee River freshwater area. It was a freshwater tournament, and it was going to be catfish and bass. But
okay.
Because of all the rain, that's dammed control, so they're probably going to have the dam open, and the water's going to be flowing. And it's only like maybe 35, 40 feet wide where we're fishing, and that kind of current in a kayak and trying to fish, it ain't happening.
Gotcha.
So, and plus with the rain. But I have a friend of mine who's a kayak guide that him and his client were out, and they got caught in a storm, and they paddled to an island, and the client left the rods up in the rod holder instead of laying them down. Well, lightning hit it. They didn't get hurt or anything because they were up on the island, but they melted the kayak. Everything was on fire. Just melted that kayak.
Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, how am I going to paddle this thing back to the dock, right? Oh my goodness!
Crazy. Yeah, I don't remember how they got back, but I think they called somebody to come get him or something.
Yeah,
because you can't fit two people in a 12-foot kayak.
Yeah,
two grown men. I mean, I've had my grandson in with me, but that's a little different. Weighing 20 pounds.
No, I don't need to be doing that. Well, for those of you guys and gals that are watching on Facebook, welcome. We appreciate you tuning in this morning. Thank you for watching. Capt. Mark Gibson's in with me, and Donald Waverman's on the line. Donald, we've got a lot of rain over here on the east side of the state, and you guys have gotten a lot of rain over there. And it is changing our tactics and techniques. A lot of the captains that I've been talking with here this past week, because we've had 10 or 12 or however many inches of rain we've had over the past 7 to 10 days, a lot of guys are starting to go to those outflow areas and starting to work those outflow areas. Captain Mark was mentioning earlier, they've got a lot of up in Rose Bay and Spruce Creek and some of those areas up around the Daytona, New Smyrna area, Ponce Inlet. A lot of the bull sharks are moving in to those areas. And the same thing's happening down here, the Sebastian River, Crane Creek, O'Galley River, a lot of those areas where we have a freshwater outflow. A lot of sharks moving in, a lot of those bull sharks moving in. Are you seeing that on your side, or have you been out enough to take notice of that?
No, I haven't been out to take notice of it, and I haven't heard any reports like that. But I fish a lot up in Hilton Head Island,
Mm-hmm.
and that reminds me of that because their tides, they got 6.5, 7 foot tides. So there's these creeks. So at high tide, I will sit and wait for the low tide, and then all of a sudden all the shrimp and crabs flush out. So it's the same scenario.
Yes. Yeah.
Same exact scenario as what you're talking about, and all of a sudden the redfish will come in because they know all the shrimp and crabs are flushing out of those canals. So we've got a couple up here. It's called Mobley Bay. Same thing. It's not as radical of a tide, but during the low tide, same thing, because it's a lot of fresh water, up in the really northern part of Tampa Bay.
Right.
So it's going to be the same thing, but I haven't really heard any reports talking about it on the shows or on Facebook or anything.
Gotcha.
But the sharks, man, no thank you. I was fishing in a tournament, and I was about 6 feet of water, and all of a sudden I see this big shadow come underneath me, and it was a bull shark. I held my breath. I never held my breath so long. It's like, don't hit me, don't hit me. I'll never forget that. That was a sight because I was in very, very clear water, and I can see this thing. And I thought it was a dolphin at first. It's like, no, that's a big shark.
Yeah,
but I got hit by a dolphin a couple
I've
years
actually
ago.
seen sharks in our Indian River Lagoon that I thought were manatees in the past. And you're pulling down a flat or whatever, and you see a shadow coming, and you're like, oh, that's probably a manatee. And then, you're in like 3.5, 4 feet of water, not real shallow water. And then when it gets close enough to you that you can actually identify what it is, you're like, ooh, that's like a 7 foot, 8 foot, shark. That's not a little shark anymore. So yeah, I'm like you. I don't like to be in the water, but I like catching sharks. Catching sharks is fun, but I don't really like being in the water with them.
Come on.
Yeah.
Thought we were over that.
Mark's over here going, come on, man. Put your big boy panties on,
yeah.
right?
If you can see them.
I love catching the bonnet heads. We've got the nice bonnet heads over here, and they get to almost 5 feet. I actually, a couple of years ago, had one across my lap. I was trying to get a picture of it. Got this big bonnet head, grabbed this by its head. I've got him across my lap. I got my hand on his neck so he's not trying to bite me, but he's whacking me with his tail.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big bonnet head.
That's it. You're going back in the water.
Yep. Picture will come some other time, right?
Yeah.
Well, Donald, we're up against our break, but you stay safe out there, and thanks for the call to the show this morning. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Everybody stay safe and tight lines, and take care, guys.
All right,
thanks, Donald.
Bye-bye now. Hey, you know what? We're going to take our next break, but when we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch the Memory Outdoors after these messages, and I've got a couple of neat things that happened this past week we're going to talk about on this next segment. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Captain Mark Gibson and myself, Jim Ross. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back, and welcome to those of you guys and gals that are watching on Facebook. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Good morning to everybody, and we want to let you know that I forgot to say the last segment of the show was brought to us by Blue Points Marina.
You missed that.
I know, I missed that. That's a great place to be. And I
place.
don't know how I could ever forget a place like Blue Points, but I did.
Well,
so we're just going to talk about them a little bit right now.
Yeah.
Great place. Are you looking for a great place to keep your boat? You don't want a trailer. You don't want to have to store it. Go out to Blue Points. The other thing that's happened here recently, since our water quality is getting so much better, we're seeing things that we haven't seen before. Like you said, more sharks in the lagoon system. More variety of fish in the lagoon system. And so far, within the past 3 weeks, there's been multiple sawfish sightings.
I saw that.
So sawfish sightings down in the Sebastian and Melbourne area. Sawfish sightings. Captain Kyle Weaver was in Port St. John and told me that he saw a sawfish. I've never seen a sawfish up here.
I've never seen
But
one either.
once again, great news. Water quality's coming back. This whole lagoon system's just getting better and better by the day. And
grass is growing back. You
know what? Speaking of guys that have been around a long time and know how to catch fish in this lagoon system, let's go to the phone lines. We got Captain Glenn Austin calling in. Good morning, Glenn.
Captain Glenn.
Yeah, how you guys doing this morning?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. Are you on the water this morning?
Yeah, we're out on the beach. It's a little windy, a little choppy, but it's not horrible.
Gotcha.
Seems like everybody's out but you and I, Jim.
A lot of activity out a little bit deeper, but we're tight on the beach trying to get into some tarpon and some jacks and stuff. Haven't had any luck on any tarpon yet, but only seen a couple of them. It's hard to really, they're not rolling a lot if they're here, so.
Gotcha.
Seems like we marked a few, but there's some sharks and jacks so far this morning.
Hey, Glenn, are your sharks, are you mainly getting black tips, or are you getting fine tooth and black nose and sharp nose and?
Yeah, not many black tips. What we've had lately is a fine tooth and a sharp nose.
Okay. Because I saw one day last week where I was getting fine tooth, and then the next day we didn't get a fine tooth at all. Everything was a black tip. It was just kind of odd that we.
We don't have a lot of bait down here right now, which is abnormal. Tony, there's one. We don't have a lot of bait down here right now. It's real tight. It's so the black tips aren't like schooled up on the bait.
Gotcha. Glenn, we were talking about water quality conditions in the lagoon system, and I know that you've seen the best of it and you've seen the worst of it. How are the conditions with all of this rain that we've had here in the past week? Are you still able to have some good clean areas of water?
I haven't really been out a lot with the rain, but what I will tell you is they've opened the dam full speed, and it's getting black.
Okay.
It's getting black. What's coming out the inlet now is now black. So it's not going to be pretty for too long. I hope it changes. I hope the rain slows down and they can close that dam. But right now that dam's running wide open. There's all the freshwater vegetation floating out and everything coming right out the inlet.
Yeah, it seems like when they first start letting the water flow, the bite increases. But then there comes a point, like you say, and you're probably at that point now. There comes a point where it becomes too much fresh water flowing out of the Sebastian River, and then fishing really takes a dive in that localized area.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
Hey, Glenn, another question. How big are your jacks? The ones that we were catching out of Canaveral earlier this week were small for beach jacks. They were only like 6 to 10 pounds.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're into right now, too.
Okay. So I just, typically, you and I are side by side pulling on 20 to 30 pounders, and
we got some big ones last week. But this week so far when I've been out, actually end of last weekend and this week, they've been pretty small.
Yeah. Complete flip flop from what it was.
Yep, complete flip flop. So, and like I said, the bait. There's not really much bait around, so it's not those big jacks aren't going to stay here without much bait. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you got a fish on right now. Is he hooked up?
Shark double.
Shark double.
Oh,
there you
Sharknado.
Go. Sharknado.
Shark double. One of them bit through just a minute ago. We're getting the other one up and get some baits back out. We're getting back into tarpon territory now. So shark, something a little better.
Gotcha. Well, buddy, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, have you got any time available to get them out?
I'm booked for most of the month, but I probably can squeeze in a day or two. 321-863-8085, or then get me on goingcoastalcharters.com.
Captain Glenn Austin, one of the best on the entire east coast of Florida. Thanks for the call in this morning, Glenn, and stay safe out there and keep catching those fish, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
See you, Glenn.
Bye-bye now. Hey, I was looking at the Facebook feed. There's a couple of people asking, this segment of the show is actually brought to us by Anytime No Bite. And we had mentioned it earlier with Captain Matt Lee because he was getting chewed up in the Mosquito Lagoon by the no-see-ums. But the Anytime No Bite is a great product. It's all natural, and you can get it on Amazon. And one of the questions was, we know it works on no-see-ums, but how does it work on deer flies? Now, here's really the only experience that I've had with it so far with a deer fly scenario, because who was it? Scott Allen actually asked about it. So I was wearing the no bite out in the woods with some friends as we were riding four-wheelers. They were not wearing it. They were getting bit and I wasn't. Now, if all three of us were wearing it, would we have all equally been bit or not bit? I don't know, but I can tell you that you need to be the guy wearing anytime no bite if your friends aren't, because I didn't get bit and they did.
Yeah. Well,
So
that pretty much explains it.
further testing needs to be done.
Yeah.
So we're going to give that a try, but that's, just kind of a little FYI on
We'll have to get with
on
Scotty
that.
and hook him up.
And then Jeff Rector asks if there's any rumors to a second IRL clam restoration banquet this fall. Yes, there most definitely is. In fact, I was on the phone with Captain Blair Wiggins. He called me 2 days ago, and on the 26th of June, they're actually going to be putting more clams into the lagoon system. And this time they're going to be doing it down in the South Rockledge Sun Tree area of the Indian River Lagoon, down by River Rocks. They've got a clam lease down there, and they have the availability to put, I believe he said, 6 million clams in that area of the lagoon system. I don't know how many they're going to put in, but yes, they're ready for another deployment in South Rockledge. So we're going to see some clams going into the water there. But yes, there is going to be another clam restoration. It will be an annual thing because you have ongoing funding needs to drive that program. And hopefully, right now, tentatively, I have Captain Blair coming into the show on the 27th of this month, and hopefully Dr. Todd Osborne, who is the from Whitley Labs and who's the guy who's helping to basically growing the clams. Hopefully he's going to be able to be in here as well. So we should have a whole lot of great information on that particular show. So there's more to come. We appreciate you guys and gals asking about it. That's for sure. And we got Rodney on the line this morning. Good morning, Rodney.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
We're
morning,
doing
Rod.
fantastic, buddy. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm driving in this what should be like our January, February weather, and I don't get this, man. It's been a weird year in regards to weather, that's for sure.
Are you dealing with a little chilliness and a little rain?
Yeah, man. What's up with that? 76 degrees and raining. I don't know what time
June.
of year it is. Definitely doesn't feel like June.
In June. I'll take the 76. If the humidity was in the 30% range,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
I hear it.
You know the song goes sunny and 75, right? Isn't that the way the song
There you
goes?
go.
Yeah.
We got half that.
We got half of it. We got
we got half that, like half of a regular snapper season or anything with giving us 4 days.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I got my NOAA email yesterday, and yes, we are going to have a red snapper season.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are going to have 4 whole days to go
4
out
days.
and terrorize the
4
ocean.
days of mayhem. I'm at the point where it's not even worth it,
No.
and it's kind of sad because it's just, I don't know.
Rodney,
Where I
now,
look at it,
I mean, when you look at it from a recreational standpoint, okay, I go out, I catch red snapper. You go out, you catch red snapper. Captain Mark Gibson goes out, he catches red snapper. Everybody that goes out is catching red snapper. If they're truly that endangered, why are they not open to at least a reasonable? Well, if they're truly that endangered, they need to be shut down, period. Just leave it shut. Don't open it for 4 days. Don't do it. If the stocks are at that critical a level that you can't allow more than 4 days a year for the entire East Coast, then keep it shut down, in my opinion. But we all go out and we all continuously catch red snapper while trying to target other species. So
Yep.
I don't understand the logic at all. At all.
The two species that I'm completely confused about when it comes to South Atlantic and what they're doing is the sandbar shark and the red snapper. Those two species, they have totally jacked up that whole entire fishery, and it's messed up. But
Yeah.
here's where I will say, the positive part about them having any type of season whatsoever for red snapper is the economic increase that it does give to tackle shops and local guys. If any of you guys ever get out to the Panhandle during their red snapper season up in Destin, Panama City, and all that,
Which is like a month
lot
long.
of those shops, Yeah, it's a little bit longer than that.
It's like 40 days or something, you know?
It is an economic, it is vital to those tackle shops and even some of the hotels in regards to, you know, making money for those guys. They see a huge boost in everybody from, because basically the Panhandle, lower Alabama, you know, it's all the people from Alabama and Georgia come down specifically to go red snapper fishing.
Right.
They plan their vacation around it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we are going to see a little boost. I guarantee the tackle shops are going to see a boost in sales. They have every year, which is great. But 4 days, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what is your determining factor of doing 4 days instead of giving us, like we've had the past couple days, 8 days? You know, why are we dividing it in half? Did the red snapper catch the coronavirus too? I mean, come on, like it's ridiculous. So, and that's where it's very frustrating that they continue to pull more and more away from us in regards to this species, with little or no scientific data to back it up.
Well, I'll tell you what I would like. I tell you what I would like to see. With regard to the red snappers, okay, if they're that endangered, and if 40%, according to South Atlantic Marine Fisheries and NOAA's numbers, 40% of the red snapper that every angler catches, 40% of them die.
Yeah.
Because we can't keep them, so we're releasing them. So 40% of them die. Okay, so I go to a spot, and I'm trying to catch a grouper. I'm trying to catch a triggerfish. I'm trying to catch a sea bass. I'm trying to catch a mangrove, lane, vermilion, whatever other kind of snapper. Okay, I'm trying to target the other eligible species within the bottom fishing complex. And I catch 10 red snapper, and I catch 1 mangrove, and I catch, let's just say I caught 1 gag. Okay, let's just say I had a gag, a lane, and 10 reds, because that's about a typical. That's a trip. That's about a trip. Yeah. Per angler.
If you get the lane or anything past the
if
snapper.
you can get it past the red snapper. So I caught 10 red snapper, and 40% of them die. So there's 4 dead red snapper for me to keep 1 gag and 1 lane. But I killed 4 red snapper. So here's a real easy way that people can go out. They can harvest red snapper, and yet they cannot damage, because that's basically, you're doing damage to that stock. You're doing damage to the fishery. And the whole reason for the closure is not to do damage to that particular species. So here's my idea. And call it crazy, call it whatever, but let's just say that you, Rodney, myself, and Mark, we're all going to go snapper fishing. We're all going to go fishing, okay? We run out, and we drop in on 8A, we drop in on Pelican Flats, we drop in on Cracker Ridge, we drop in on Brinson, we drop in whatever piece of reef we decide we're going to drop in on, right? And we put a squid.
Drop in the middle of the sand.
Yeah, we put a squid, a sardine, whatever bait we got, we put it to the bottom. And Mark hooks up, and you hook up, and I miss my fish, okay? Well, you two put your red snapper in the boat. I drop down one more time. I catch my red snapper. 4 baits went down. 3 red snapper came up. There's 3 snapper on the box, and we stop. Anytime a red snapper hits ice, the second that you decide that you're going to keep that species, you cannot possess any other bottom species, period. Okay? No lanes, no vermilion, no triggerfish, no sea bass. Okay? No groupers. But we each got, and let's face it, most of the red snapper right now are pretty good size. They're averaging probably 7 to 10 pounds. We each got a nice fillet, a nice meal out of it, and then we go do other things. We go king mackerel fishing, we go dolphin fishing, we go sail fishing, we go wahoo fishing, we go blackfin tuna fishing, we go do something else that doesn't involve bottom fishing. So, instead of me killing 4 red snapper because I caught 10 and I didn't put any on ice and I didn't get to enjoy those fish, all 3 of us caught 3 red snapper. We each were able to enjoy those snapper, And we didn't kill the fourth one, and we didn't damage potentially whatever other species that were down there as we were trying to weed through the red snappers to get to the other species. I mean, does that sound like a reasonable compromise? And we keep the season open year round.
You know, my biggest thing though, Jim, when it comes down to it, the regulations that were in place before it was completely closed down in the first place were working.
Yes, they were.
We were seeing more red snapper and bigger red snapper every year. And it was 20-inch minimum, 2 fish per person. And I would be fine if it was a boat limit of a certain amount of fish. 3 red snapper per boat, 4. Why not?
Well, you'd have to make it. You'd have to make it 6 because the typical charter operation, offshore charter operation, can run up to 6 passengers. So you'd have to have at least 6 per boat. That's why I say 1 per person, none for captain and crew. Keep it open year round. And if you decide to keep a single red snapper, no other bottom species is permitted. So that would alleviate pressure off of all of the other bottom fishing species. And it would alleviate pressure off the red snapper. I just think it's a win-win in my opinion.
I catch them kingfishing.
Yeah. The other day,
go kingfishing because I catch them while I'm kingfishing.
Sunday on 8A, we're trolling live pilchards. I've got 2 flatlines out, catching king mackerel, and one of them comes up 75 feet from the bottom, eats my pilchard, and runs us all the way back down into the reef and cuts us off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fish was hungry.
Well, apparently, unicorns do exist.
They do exist.
That unicorn ate our top bait and ran us back to the reef.
Yeah, once they get it from the top, they going straight down.
Yeah. And you're only using 20 or 25 pound test on a live bait rig, a little treble hooks. You can't stop them.
I've got Eloise in the truck with me. Say hi, Eloise. Say it real loud. You gotta say it real loud.
Good morning, Eloise.
Last year, Eloise was kingfishing with me, and we were 3.4 miles from a certain part of the coastline.
Right.
And Eloise caught herself about a 15, 16-pound red snapper on kingfish tackle.
Nice. Good for her.
And how old are you, Eloise? She's 6 years old.
Well, buddy, we are way past our break. We appreciate you calling in this morning. Enjoy your time with the family today, and stay safe out there.
Will do. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, Rod. I'll call you here in a couple days.
Bye-bye now. Hey, gang, we got to take a break. We're way overdue. We're going to be right back with more Catch a Memory after these messages, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by A&B Graphics. And you know what? A&B Graphics is a great place. They build banners. As you can see, we've got our Catch a Memory banner up here. We're going to get a little better lighting. We're slowly working on this. This is week 3 of Facebook Live. We're working on it. But we figured that was better than looking at a bunch of empty chairs back there against the far wall. So we're going to continue working on stuff. But if you guys need something, A&B Graphics can design it, print it, install it. So just, whether you need business cards or billboards, they can make it happen. So stop at A&B. The other thing is the Starbright Catch Conditions or Starbright Cleaning Solutions segment of the show. We ran a little long on that last segment. Talking about red snapper, but we do get 4 days this year. July, what is it? The 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then the 17th or something like that. So I'm probably going to be scalloping the 10th, 11th, and 12th, and that would be a whole lot better than trying.
That's still the plan.
Possibly. I don't know. I've got some things that are kind of throwing a monkey wrench in that, but. Going back to the cleaning solutions segment, there's all kinds of different things that you have to clean. And one of the things that we like to do is obviously deep clean the boats. We've talked about that in the past. We use the Performicide product on our rods and reels, but you also need to make sure that you're getting the salt off of things. And Starbright makes a salt off product that's absolutely fantastic. It just really gets in there, gets all the salt out, and leaves a nice protective lubricating kind of a film on it. But it's not a greasy film. It's not something that it's not like an oil. So it's just a fantastic product. So check out Starbright's Salt Off. You guys and gals are going to really like it. You know what? I was kind of going through the last break. We've got a lot of people talking on the line here. One of Coco's finest, Cocoa Police Department, Lieutenant Delator, kind of chimed in, and a couple of things. He says, what about the commercial season? Well, they get 75 head, or they get 75 pounds, not 75 head, 75 pounds of snapper per trip for, about a month or 6 weeks.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they get almost 6 months this year.
Oh, did they change it? Okay.
I have an email here. Let me check it, but I think after that, and I don't want to.
Well, 75 pounds of fish is less than 10 fish per boat. It's less than 10 fish.
It looks like
because an average fish is 10 pounds.
See if you read that right. If that's
I didn't bring my glasses.
July till January, it looks like.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they did open it up, which I don't have a problem with. With that.
No.
Honestly, I don't. Commercial guys do guys like you and me a big favor, because most of the time we go take our customers fishing, and then they take the fish home, and we don't have any fish.
Commercial guys put it in the market where we need it. Yeah, no, they work hard for that.
And with a 75-pound limit, you're not hurting.
Not a lot of fish.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fish,
and that's not like you can fish that every single day.
No,
no.
But it's one of those things that commercial guys need to make a living, and personally, I'd rather see the commercial guys open year round. If they're able to open it for 6 months, why not open it year round?
They got to put a dent in this red snapper population somehow.
Well, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. I mean, to be honest, you can't go out there. I get a lot of people call me and they say, what are we going to catch on a 4-hour trip? What are we going to catch from red snapper? What about lane snapper, mangrove snapper?
Maybe.
And then you got to tell them. You got to say, look, you're going to catch red snapper. Well, we get to keep. No, you can't keep them. No. I said, but you've got to get the bait through the red snapper. Well, what about a 6-hour? You think, I said, well, there again, you're going to have a better chance of getting, mangrove lane. I said, but you're still going to fight through those red snappers.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier when a lot of people don't want to catch the fish or bring home fish.
Well,
take some pretty fish.
We're flounder fishing and catching red snapper. We're trying to take half, 50% of the year. If you stop on Buoy 2 outside of Port Canaveral, out of the southeast shoal, 9 miles out, if you drop us a beakie on Buoy 2, you'll catch a red snapper.
Well, we haven't really spoke about the flounder, but they have you need to ride on up.
Yeah.
Yeah, me, you, and Ron need to go take a.
Need to go do a little trip.
Yeah, we need to go take a little trip.
Are you on them? Are you on them?
I've heard tell where they're at.
There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. We were talking about different kinds of sharks, and Paul, our producer, loves pulling up the OSearch website to see where the sharks are at this time. And we currently have, how many sharks do we currently have within our list tagged? This is just the tagged sharks that are within our listening area.
It looked like I saw 8 or 10 of them swimming around.
And just this week alone, we have like an 11-pound great white right off of Cape Canaveral. His name is Taser.
11 foot.
11 foot.
Yeah.
And then Miss May is usually in my backyard in the Atlantic.
And how big is that? How big is that shark?
Also 11 foot.
11 foot as well.
And that one's down in Fort Pierce this week. So
going down to see, Captain Mark Wright moved down to Fort Pierce.
I saw. I did see.
Going to go check out Mark's new place down there. Yeah.
And like you said, that's the ones that are tagged.
That's just the tagged ones.
That's just the tagged.
Now I stay in the boat. I don't get out of the boat.
Yeah, I can see that.
I do when I'm scalloping, but.
I need to let you use my little spare air when you go up there.
No, what you need to let me use is a bang stick or something.
Yeah,
and a shark shield and a
yeah.
Of course, up there in Mark's neck of the woods, Sydney, a 12-footer, great white, right off of the coast of St. Augustine, and that's all this week.
That's just this week.
I won't even mention the ones which haven't been
and most
spotted.
of those have been tagged, if I'm not mistaken, out towards like South Africa and stuff over there,
all the way up to Nova Scotia and all the way over. Some of them over into the Gulf side.
Sharks.
But they seem to love Florida. I'm surprised, even with the warmer water.
Well, you know why? They're coming back around. There's more bait in the water now. They open the beaches back up. There's swimmers back in the waters. That's
that. Yeah.
I thought that was more like October when there's more bait fish. But, all right.
Shark Bite Capital.
Shark Bite Capital right here in Central Florida. There's more chum in the surf.
Don't let my buddy Michael. I hope Michael's not watching.
That's the other thing. I get to the beach and I'm afraid to go deeper than my waist.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I won't play around on the beach. That's for sure.
I joke about it, but it's a lot of fun to kind of tease about it, but things do happen.
Things happen.
And if I can keep myself from it happening to me,
I'll be able to fish tomorrow.
Exactly.
Or the next day.
Exactly.
I don't know what
Hey, one last thing real quick before we go to the next break. Lieutenant Delator, one of Cocoa Police Department's finest, wanted to let everybody know in the Central Florida area that's going to be coming to the beach that this afternoon from about 2 to 3 o'clock up to about the 6 to 7 o'clock time frame, there's going to be a march from Rockledge, from Barton Boulevard in Rockledge, up Fisk Boulevard to 520 in Cocoa. So that section of the roadway is going to be closed down so that we can have a protest march and people can express their opinions about what's going on this time of the week, the year, just express their sentiments. So just letting you know, that section of Central Florida is going to have a march going on this afternoon. So if you're trying to get somewhere, try to avoid that Rockledge and Cocoa central part of Brevard County area. We're going to be right back with Captain Mark Gibson and myself after these messages, so don't go away. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers. If you haven't checked out Engel Coolers, you can do it real easily. Just go online, Google it, engelcoolers.com. You can find everything you need, from tumblers to put cold drinks or hot drinks in, to soft-sided backpacks, coolers, all kinds of. They got a really neat new 20-quart soft side that's just a cool little thing that you can just use for a day, like a day trip. And of course, the hard sided, we use those dry boxes in from anything from keeping tools and keeping paperwork and keeping supplies like your things that you would need for cuts and bruises and things like that get hooked up on your customers, get a hook out of them or whatever if they get a hook in themselves. So all your little medical supplies you can put on those little dry boxes. Or of course, hard-sided coolers from 25 all the way up to 300 quart. I mean, they've got one that's big enough that you can put tunas and sailfish or tunas and swordfish in. So just really, really big ones. But anything that you might need, engelcoolers.com. Check them out. You're going to be really impressed. They are the original high-performance cooler, and they've been making great coolers for a lot of years. Mark, we were talking about some flounder there right before that last break, and I know you have been a really, really good guy to know when it comes to getting flounder information, because
if I stop
you're
answering the phone,
yeah,
if I don't return your calls,
yeah.
They're I've last couple of years I got to dialing them in pretty good. People have said they've starting to show up a little bit. I got a shrimp boat friend that kind of tells me sometimes, if he's dragging and he's catching, dragging some shrimp, dragging some flounder, good idea they're out there.
Yeah.
But they've been starting to show up a little bit.
Well, there's been this past week and a half, both at Ponce Inlet and at Canaveral, there's been an increase in flounder around the jetties and inside the port and even outside, along the ship's channel. I haven't talked to anybody that's really mentioned anything about them down at Ponce. Now, obviously, guys down at Sebastian, obviously, Donald Andresi and Captain Glenn Austin and Captain Justin Ambrosio and a lot of those guys down there, they have been specifically targeting the redfish and the snook. And they're not using baits that a flounder is going to be able to eat. I mean, they're using croakers, they're using pilchards, they're using greenies. They're using big baits. And so they're, by the size of their bait alone, they're excluding a flounder bite in most cases. But as we get later into the summer and into the fall, sometimes we'll be out on the wrecks, on the nearshore wrecks inside of 10 or 12 miles, and you'll put a pogey down to see what's down there. And let me tell you, there's some flounder down there that can eat those size baits. They will eat a full size pogey.
How far down, do they really get into the flounder? I know that up north towards Jacksonville, they get into them pretty good.
I don't
Ponce
know.
Inlet,
I've never really
Cocoa.
talked to anybody about it much past Sebastian.
Yeah. Have to put into that.
You have to
see.
check our Fort Pierce connections.
Yeah.
Captain Mark Wright, Captain Mike Mayer, some of those guys
See
that
if
fish
they
Fort
come
Pierce.
in there.
Yeah, on a regular basis. See if they get them.
They really attract to those inshore reefs that we got. I mean, all the culvert sites.
They love sand next to structure.
So maybe that's why you get a little further south, you get more, the reef, hard bottom.
Hard bottom, yeah.
So maybe just may have to call down there and find out. I'd like to know that.
Yeah. Well, you've got 2 boats that you're running right now. You've got your 22-footer that you do.
22-footer.
You do a lot of stuff with.
Then we got the 28-footer that we're dialing in, still working on a little bit, getting the bugs worked out of it. And then the
what are you going to primarily do with the 28-footer?
More like 8-hour trips, stuff like that, trolling trips.
Trolling larger
it's got
parties.
The outriggers and stuff.
Yeah.
People want to take 8 or 10-hour trips. That little 22-foot of mine is good when it's, good and flat, but I don't have the outriggers. I mean, I've got some gunnel mount outriggers, but
you have a boat for a situation. You fish in the inlet, you're fishing just outside the inlet, some of the near shore stuff, the 22 is fine. You get a little farther out, you got the 28, and then you guys have got a 39?
A 39-foot Delta that we've been running.
Okay.
It's a super nice boat. AC is what I like about it. Me and Chris Scatia, Captain Chris, and I've been running it.
Right.
And that's the plan. We're going to, I've kind of blocked my dates off for the Naughty Diver, and I'm going to, just for snapper season, I'm going to run that bigger boat if it works out. 8-hour trips minimum. They still make about the same amount of money and a lot more comfort.
Yeah, a lot more comfort.
And it runs good. It's 2 twin 3208s. I mean, it's good cruising at 18, 19. So that's the plan anyway. Make it a lot more comfortable on us.
Have you got those dates booked up already, or are you still looking to book them?
We've got one booked. The 17th's booked already on a 10-hour.
Right.
And I'm sure the other 3 will fill up real quick. When he called me yesterday and asked me if I ran it, I went ahead and blocked mine because I'm telling you what, that little charter service that we're using is booking them up like crazy.
Yeah.
And they'll double book you too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to look sometimes. Next thing you know, you got a AM offshore, PM inshore.
Yeah, I actually had we were doing some work on our booking system, and I actually, while the system was being worked on, it somehow allowed me to get double booked for this coming Friday and also for July 1st. So I got the July 1st one straightened out, but I'm still got to get in touch with the second person that booked for this coming Friday because I've got a full day offshore trip and then a 3-hour flats trip. And I can't do a 3-hour flats trip if I'm doing an 8-hour offshore trip.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll get them rolled over. Captain Justin can get them out on the water and get them. Well, we've only got about 2 minutes. The show's gone. I can't believe how fast the show's gone by this morning.
It flies.
As you're yawning, right?
Well, it was driving in from Daytona this morning. It was an early morning.
I tell you.
But it does fly. Time flies when you're having fun.
I know what you mean. Well, buddy, it's been another fun trip. We got to get together, but we're both booked pretty heavily right now, so it's going to be difficult.
We can do the scallop thing, Yeah.
Maybe
we can get up there and do some scalloping.
Do a little scalloping.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Well, if somebody wants to go on a river cruise, on an inlet trip, on a nearshore trip, on an offshore trip, or on a big boat, you've got a bunch of different options to get these people out. How does somebody get a hold of you?
Probably the easiest way is Facebook. You can just Facebook Daytona Beach Fishing Charters at Naughty Diver. Call me at 386-214-1477 or naughtydivercharters.com. Hit me up and we'll get out there and see if we can't catch a memory. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, my friend.
Yeah. Well, you know what, guys and gals, we really appreciate y'all tuning in. This Facebook Live thing, we're still trying to improve it. Hopefully, we're trying to keep in contact with you guys and gals that are tuning in and trying to answer a question here and there when we can. It's making it a lot of fun and it's making it a lot more interesting. We hope that you guys and gals are enjoying the heck out of this as well. We're going to keep trying to improve this thing, and until next week, do exactly what Captain Mark and I are going to do. Go out there and catch yourselves a memory.